Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today guys, we're going to be diving down into the world of Cardano, specifically taking a look at the discounts that are available on ADA. As we get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then go ahead and subscribe. Tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you are going to be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Right, with all of that said, done, and out of the way, let's jump on down into the desktop, take a look at what is going on here with Cardano and what might actually be in the horizon in the next kind of few days or so. Let's get into it. Right, so we're going to start things off with our hourly chart. Obviously, we had our nice impulsive move to the upside, nice extended 5-wave here, going above the 1.618, but not really going above the 2.618. We actually found resistance on this line here, this being the 382 area of a different move altogether. That's the high point just up here, and we are tracking this quite interestingly on a bigger ABC move. So that's actually an interesting kind of area to kind of see a little bit of resistance on. But nonetheless, we'll get into what is going on here on the kind of shorter time frame for a second here. So obviously we have this kind of volatility right around the bottom here, this very choppy kind of movement, and it's very corrective. Then we started to see this break to the upside, the wave 4 pullback here, actually finding a double bottom, and this has also coincided with our resistance area over here. So we had resistance here and here, and basically this double bottom within wave 4 basically confirms the resistance is now support. So that's going to be a really good, interesting area. This comes in about $1.09.9, so we'll call it $1.10. If we actually hover on the candles, they were 1097 and 1097 exactly, so they're exactly to the penny there. So want to watch those. I say to the penny, but to the fraction of the penny. As we, of course, we take a look here, we can obviously move up a little bit, and we can talk about, the kind of pullback that we've been talking about for a while on the channel. I know I sounded like an absolute crazy person for, let's say, the last few days, talking about, potential pullbacks with cryptocurrencies in general, Bitcoin, altcoins, Cardano as well. But it's good to kind of see this thing pull back a bit. It's healthy. We need the correction in the data. And this actually allows us then to kind of take those profits off the table, reinvest at a slightly lower price, build a better position, and then ride it up into the next waves, right? So this is an important move, okay? Although I sound like a crazy person for the last few days saying that we needed to have this, it is finally starting. So, and it is only just starting, and we'll get into that in a moment, okay? So here we can see that we started to have this move to the downside, right? We have lowered our stochastic RSI right the way down into the oversold area. After, reaching this high point here, we actually started to come out of the overbought area way down here. We pushed up a little bit after reaching this oversold area, but the sentiment has now shifted and changed after Bitcoin started to kind of take profits off the table. Pretty much most of the altcoins are in a very similar situation. Now, what you have here is, a start of an ABC, right? And I'm going to go into this in the micro style to start with. Here's our A wave down, and we had a B wave here, we had a C wave come down lower. Now this is interesting, right? So we just note that this is an ABC. If I delete that off, what we want to do is we want to measure this candlestick, because this effectively would be our A wave, right? Just here. And it's not actually too bad of a correction. If I just run this down, what is that? It's 3.9%. It's not bad. Anyway, we take this, we translate it over or transpose it over to what would have been the B wave high, and we see the pullback. Now the pullback actually went past the 1.382, and for those who are familiar with the channel, or 1.382 going past that area usually leads us into an impulsive move to either the upside or the downside, right? So it's important that we know what causes an impulsive move to the upside and what would invalidate the impulsive move, right? So let me bring back down in here. So basically what we have is a wave 1, a wave 2, a wave 3, because we triggered that impulsive move, a wave 4 coming up. Again, that is just basically a 382 retracement, but it looks like the 786. And then we pulled back down here to complete 5 waves. Now, obviously, we talk about 5 waves all the time because we've had 5 waves up here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 impulsive moves. Now, obviously, that's quite a nice impulsive move up, and this is actually a really conservative 5 moves down. Okay, however, this is 5 moves here on our hourly chart, okay? And it is only the hourly chart that is showing us with these 5 moves or 5 waves. From here, we would expect to see an A, B, C to the upside. I do not expect this ABC to go higher than the high that we had up here. Okay, so I'm not expecting it to go higher than 126. Just to check, that's 126.3. So I'm a little bit high there. Let me just lower that by 1. There we go. I do not expect it to go higher than that yellow line, okay? And we can get very, very close to it. We can have the C wave almost come right up to it. But I do not expect that C wave to go past it, okay? So we are looking for an ABC up at this point. Now, that sentiment, as I mentioned earlier, it isn't necessarily positive for price action to the upside right now. So I'm expecting a short ABC move here. Something, that we see, maybe up a little bit more resistance back where that fourth wave was, something like that. And then we track down a little bit further. And again, it would start off like an ABC. It's very possible, though, that we're actually on this micro scale, this hourly chart, that we actually end up with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, taking us down lower. And as I said, right into this sweet spot where we had that double bottom, that's a pretty interesting area that I think we might have to revisit. So it's possible that there is where that lands. So interesting stuff. Right? I'm going to remove the kind of speculative stuff for a second. We have 5 waves down, that's pretty given, and we have 3 waves that should follow the 5 impulsive move down. Again, that is not unusual. That is pretty much standard practice when it comes to ADA wave. Now, this is just the hourly chart. So what I want to do is I'm going to roll us up into a 4-hourly chart. Now, this chart is important to kind of understand a slightly bigger time frame with what's going to happen over the next week or so. Rather than just focusing in on the hourly, which is a couple of days of trading, we really need to focus in on what's the bigger picture, what's actually going on with ADA on a slightly longer time frame. Now, this is only one step up. Obviously, it's not showing you a big macro view. It is literally still quite a small time frame. So let's get into it and see what it says. So here we actually have a definitive A wave down, right? Okay, so this was 5 waves on our hourly chart, but it's actually just an A wave here on our 4-hourly chart. So there's an A, and we're expecting that push to the upside for a B, and then we expect a pullback down here with a C wave. Now, again, that 109.9, that double bottom here could be a really interesting level of support for us. So that's going to be a good point. I think that we're going to see some interesting kind of, I guess, buying opportunities to be had. But let me just check one thing. If we actually measure this whole entire A wave here that's currently formed, where do we think this is likely to retrace to? This really depends on a couple of things. I'm going to be a little bit pessimistic and say that we go all the way up here. And I say pessimistic because we have to transpose this down and we need to get close to this level of support. So it's very possible that actually that's a $1.11 and actually we just overwick it and we touch that level of support and we bounce from here. And we would expect at that point to see a nice ABC move to the upside. Again, I would expect that to be a bigger move where we do actually potentially go higher than the 5th wave high here. And again, when we actually take a look at this ABC move, it actually lines up a lot better with this impulsive move that we have here. It's big enough to actually be, substantial enough to correct things. We can see that we are looking for a bounce to the upside, as of course that stochastic RSI is quite low. Still got a little bit of more kind of corrective action to go though. So over the next 4 hours or so, I'd like to see that as completely oversold. And then we should be able to kind of see this B wave higher. Again, that B wave should not cross $1.26.3. Obviously, then we'll come back down. We lower the stochastic again and we reach this low threshold here. That's kind of where I think this is likely to go. And then I think from here we are tracking back to the upside. Potentially a little bit lower. I've got this kind of scoped out a little bit here. It's quite a broad range, but all of this area is fair game, in my opinion. This whole move to the upside is really all about invalidating some of the lower lows, the lows that people have been speculating on for a while with $20,000 Bitcoin or whatever. This move that has just happened is effectively kind of wiped out a lot of that TA, a lot of those lower lows that they're kind of no longer valid. So this move was really important, but what actually follows it, the corrective action, not so much. It's required to kind of get everything back aligned, but it's not actually that important in terms of invalidation or anything like that. So just bear in mind that this could go a little bit lower, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing at this point because we're not expecting to go down as low as like 91 cent, for example. We've got good strong support on $1. I think that's just a personal favorite. I would like to see Cardano down here. It's probably not going to happen though. It's very unlikely in my opinion. I think this is going to hold out quite nicely. So that's kind of what's going on here on the 4-hourly. But what about that 8-hourly view, right? Again, same story. We have a definitive A wave here. We could potentially see the B wave up, and then of course that C wave down lower. The stochastic RSI very much needing a correction, and again that is pretty much aligned to what we're thinking here on the 4-hourly chart as well. That's looking pretty good. A good strong bounce to the upside, find the B wave high, and then potentially ride that down in towards this low range here of about $1.09.9 or $1.10, $1.11, around that area. I think we should be pretty good to accumulate some ADA if that is what we're into. I think I will be buying some more ADA up here. Seems like I'm in the most probable area for a good retracement and accumulation. Again, if we go down lower, I'll just buy some more. That's fine. But let's check out that daily chart. And here we can see that we're heavily overbought. Okay, so this correction is going to be an interesting kind of tell for us. How fast does the stochastic RSI on our daily chart get wiped out? How quickly does this correct down that allows us to say that this here is the end of the correction? You know, it is possible that we come down into this range. I don't think it's probable, but this daily stochastic RSI is going to be the tell here. This is going to allow us to understand whether or not we are going to pull down significantly lower towards that dollar level, or whether or not we are going to start to see a good climb back to the upside and good recovery out of this whole entire dip. And obviously, as I come up into the weekly, we can see that stochastic RSI is in prime position for the macro trend to continue to the upside, where of course we do see some interestingly high prices for Cardano. So I think there's a lot of promise here for ADA, and I do think this is going to be probably one of the best cryptocurrency runs of the bull run. I do think ADA is going to be one of the top performers by the end, as controversial as that may seem. There's an ecosystem that is, you know, growing. It's got a lot of different projects building out on the ecosystem, and I think it's going to be late. I don't think it's going to run straight away, but I think by the end of the bull run, there's going to be a lot of people taking profits out of other altcoins, throwing it into whatever hasn't run. And I think Cardano at that point is going to be absorbing a lot of that kind of FOMO. And I think it's going to significantly run to the upside afterwards. So one to bear in mind, I do see some interesting levels for Cardano. A lot of it is speculation right now. I would anticipate at a minimum of about $6.68 on Cardano. From the current position, that isn't too bad. You know, you're talking approximately a 6x at this point for Cardano. So one, I'm going to leave this with you there, I'll leave this video there with you guys, and you know, have a look and really think about what you're going to be doing in this particular time, right? Are you hodling your way through it? Are you dollar cost averaging a better position? Have you already sold? Are you looking for another entry point? All of that good stuff. Let me know in the comments below. I'm really interested to know what you guys have been up to. Guys, with all of that said, done and out of the way, if you have found it useful, informative, and maybe even entertaining at times as I can't get my words out, hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then go ahead and subscribe. Tap the bell, select all notifications, and you won't miss another video. Guys, with all this said, done and out of the way, I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.